It's that time of year. As the night grows longer and darker, we seek out macabre and twisted tales to tantalize our taste for terror. Basically something to scare us shitless. Of course, this year we don't have to look too far, as we seem to have descended into some kind of schlock horror, end of the world as we know it scenario in real life. But if the real world isn't terrifying enough for you, I have seen the most chilling, spine-tingling, and, quite frankly, disturbing horror movie I have ever witnessed. It features possessed characters acting in bizarre and disturbing ways, terrifying depictions of madness, and a haunting presence that leaves the viewer, haunted, I suppose. It is definitely not for the faint-hearted and those of a nervous disposition. Please take medical advice before watching, and probably psychiatric advice afterwards. Prepare to plumb the very depths of anguish and despair as we delve into the abyss that is an obscure movie from 2016 called Ghostbusters. Answer the phone. Witness 4 women experience suffering never before depicted on screen, all the while haunted by the spectre of a far better movie. Let the nightmare begin. Our tale starts with a young actor duped by an evil mastermind into thinking he was starring in some kind of wacky comedy film. He desperately ad-libs random lines in the hopes of appeasing his new master, only to realize far too late that he is in fact trapped in a vat of festering shite. Then the action spookily switches to one of our hapless heroines, played valiantly by the usually excellent Kirsten Wiig, a comedy actress and writer of some ability, who quite frankly deserves better than this desperate fare. She plays the character of Erin Gilbert, a professor at a prestigious college, who apparently is terrified of speaking in the big hall. We are introduced to many characters here. Her aloof boyfriend, a snooty academic bent, and Erin's superior, played by Charles Dance, doing his best with what little he is given. None have any bearing on the story, and disappear eerily like farts in the fog. After being confronted by the owner of the haunted house featured in the opening scene, Erin finds a book she co-authored with an old friend is on Amazon. Its existence jeopardizes her chances of gaining tenure at her college, as it confirms her belief in ghosts. She goes to confront her old friend, Abby, played by Melissa McCarthy, an actress of some celebrity, who I must admit I have never seen in anything, so I cannot comment on how her performance in this compares with her other body of work. I can't imagine her other performances are as bad as this, or she wouldn't have a body of work. Unless, of course, it was a dead body of work. Hey, Happy Halloween, everyone. Abby has what I believe is called a running gag, where she gets poor service from her local Chinese takeaway. She orders wonton soup, but in a terrifying reveal, only receives a singular wonton. A creeping sense of dread overcomes the viewer as we realize this is the height of comedy the film will attain. Abby works in a small facility with her colleague Holtzman, played by Kate McKinnon, another actress who is new to me. She had a good go at being an eccentric, mad scientist type, but like most performances in this shambles, she goes too over the top at times. The three decide to investigate the haunted house Erin was approached about. In it, they are confronted by a spectre who slimes Erin. She reveals later it got in her anus and vagina. Abby films the spectre and Erin's hysterical reaction afterwards, where she is overly excited about seeing a real ghost. For some reason, Abby uploads the clip of Erin ranting and raving, but not the ghost. This makes Erin out to be crazy, and she loses her job. Was this Abby's nefarious plan all along, to get Erin to join her team? Or was it just shitty, nonsensical writing? We may never care. Now our three victims are thrown out of their college by another forgettable cameo from an actor who is obviously just a friend of the director. They decide to set up their own business, and, as if by some dark magic, they just do. Once established, the three heroines must endure the agonies of appointing a receptionist. Here they are visited by the eerie presence of Chris Hemsworth, once a Norse god, now cast down to playing this stereotypical bumblefuck of a character called Kevin. The zenith of his comedy routine is having removed the lenses from his glasses as they kept getting dirty, and having a dog called Mike Hat. The joke being, it sounds like he wants to bring my cat into work, but it is actually a dog. In a deleted scene, I imagine Erin offers to introduce him to Mike Hunt, but this is a PG-13 horror show. Then the group of damned souls meet the final member of the team. Patty is a transit worker who in an earlier scene met a creepy guy talking about the fourth cataclysm, and then witnessed an apparition in the subway. Played by Leslie Jones, Patty seemed from early trailers to be playing the annoying, loud-mouthed stereotype. And while she does get a few shouty lines, she also has a few more subtle scenes, and at least doesn't seem to be as desperate to be wacky as the others. And so, our team is complete. They head off to the subway and confront their second ghost. They fail dismally to capture it, and we then get several scenes of them being introduced to and trying out new equipment. It is at this point in our spooky review that we need to address the spectre haunting the entire production. The real Ghostbusters. No, not that real ghost, but you know who I mean. Ghostbusters was a hugely successful film, released in 1984. With a great cast and script, it was an instant hit. It inevitably spawned a sequel a few years later, which, let's be honest, wasn't all that good. But such was the love for the original, the next 3 decades were awash with rumours and hopes of a sequel. It never happened, primarily due to the disinterest of temperamental star Bill Murray, but later to the sad death of writer and Egon actor Harold Ramis. But Sony saw an opportunity to squeeze a few more bucks from the franchise and decided to fund this doomed reboot. Some say it's unfair to compare this to the original, but if you're going to call it Ghostbusters and use a lot of the iconic imagery and story beats, then of course viewers will be comparing the two. It's impossible not to. And the comparison is not kind to this movie. If they'd taken out the proton packs, jumpsuits, Ghostbusters car, and not called it Ghostbusters, it would still have been crap, but it wouldn't have been so directly contrasted to the real Ghostbusters. One of the main mistakes the film makes is in the mix of characters. One question for you. In the original Ghostbusters, which character was trying to be funny? I mean, they all had funny lines, but which character was saying them to be funny in the world of the film? It was Venkman, wasn't it? Everyone else was playing it straight. He was the smart-arse joker in the pack. In this Ghostbusters, everyone is trying to be funny. Desperately trying to be funny. A lot of this was improvised, apparently, which actually explains a shitload. Have you ever seen an improv show? In a cast of improvisers, everyone wants to be getting the laughs. No one wants to play the straight part. Now imagine the original Ghostbusters with Egon, Ray and Winston all dancing about and cracking jokes. Initially it might sound like fun, but it just wouldn't have worked as well. Take the character of Egon. He was funny because it was played so straight and unemotional. His line about being terrified beyond the capacity for rational thought is much funnier and in character than, for example, Holtzman making queef jokes. So they got this wrong straight off the bat. The vampire bat. Yeah, because it's Halloween and that. Anyway, to make matters worse, they crowbar in the original cast for pointless cameos. The zombie of Bill Murray shows up for a scene. He looks like he'd rather be eating his own feet than be in this crap fest. He has about 4 lines, and then he gets killed. Dan Aykroyd turns up as a cabbie, and he gets to say, "I ain't afraid of no ghosts," before driving off. Ernie Hudson turns up right at the end as Patty's uncle, and he gets to act a bit. And Harold Ramis gets to have a bronze bust in a single shot. Janine shows up as a snarky hotel receptionist, and Sigourney Weaver turns up in a scene during the credits as Holtzman's mentor. Clearly all of this is just so they could use the original cast in the marketing. But why not have them in it in character? The original trailer made it seem like it was 30 years on from the original movie, where 4 scientists saved the world. Even though we know only 3 of them were scientists. It had glimpses of the logo and music, and it made it all seem like they were going for a sequel rather than a remake. I don't know if it's because the original cast just weren't prepared to do more than an hour's filming for this garbage, or if they just weren't approached. Whatever the reason, I think it was a missed opportunity. And if they were just handed over the equipment and stuff to new recruits, it also would have cut about 20 minutes of tedious explanation and practice with the tech. Which brings us back to where we left off, in our scary review. After failing to capture the subway ghost, the team get ticked up and embark on a mission to trap a ghost at a heavy metal gig. Of course, Ozzy Osbourne is there because he's as popular as ever. The team chase the ghost from the bowels of the auditorium into the performance itself, and of course the audience think the spectre is just part of the show. After hilarity does not ensue, they catch it in one of their new traps. This propels them to some fame, although many think it is all a stunt. Then they get to meet the mayor, portrayed disturbingly by what appears to be a cardboard cutout of Andy Garcia. Still paying penance for Godfather 3, I see, Andy. The shocking twist here is that the mayor knows all about the ghostly goings-on, and he has his own team dealing with it. So he thanks the Ghostbusters and asks them to step aside. This could have been interesting, where we see the new Ghostbusters have to deal not only with ghosts, but also the mayor's team who get in their way. But that just never happens. And although the mayor knows about the ghostly goings-on, later he will act like Erin is crazy when she tries to warn him about the impending cataclysm. Is he possessed, or just another bloody victim of shit writing? By now, the Spook Squad have deduced that the subway lunatic is behind everything escalating. They set out to stop him, and he apparently kills himself as they confront him. Spookily, the police don't give two haunted shits about a man being dead, or for Bill Murray's character earlier. Presumably, they too are possessed by shit writing. Just as we think the film may be reaching its conclusion, it turns out the subway maniac's spirit is now on the loose. It possesses Abby, and we get the hilarious scene from the trailer where Patty slaps the living crap out of her. As mentioned, I have never seen Melissa McCarthy in anything before, but I could watch her getting slapped around all day by this point. Has this terrifying mess possessed me with the spirit of misogyny? On that subject, I think Ghostbusters 2016, Answer the Door, is maybe the first film to be marketed in that way that has become all too common now. You know, where instead of telling us what a great film it is, they bang on and on about the diverse cast and tell us how terrible we are if we say we don't want to see it. It's true that the trailer was panned, but the majority of this was about them remaking Ghostbusters without the original characters. For most, the fact the cast was all women had nothing to do with it. Of course, some people did post misogynist stuff, but you know, some people will post anything to wind someone up. The reaction was disastrous. Slagging off potential customers is not a viable marketing technique. You never see other industries doing this. The new Ford Slug is the most environmentally sound, diversely designed car in history. If you don't buy one, you're a scumbag. They just wouldn't do it. It wouldn't work. And yet Hollywood keeps shitting this out when promoting their diverse projects. I personally don't care what the sex, colour, gender, or political leanings of the cast or crew is. Is it a funny comedy? Is it an exciting action movie? Is it a well-acted drama? Is it entertaining? That's all I'm interested in. Or am I supposed to part with my hard-earned cash because the main cast don't have dicks? "No cocks, you say? Take my cash, please." Why not just film 10 women sitting around reading or something, maybe doing a jigsaw? Call it the most feminist movie in history. Nothing of any interest happens, but if you don't give us your money, you're cancelled. Absolute madness. Talking of which, this bloody review's still happening. The horror builds to its tedious climax as the evil spirit leaves Abby and possesses poor Kevin. He rushes to the scene of his death to finish the ritual that releases the evil ghosts upon New York. The Ghostbusters now have a climactic fight where they have to close a portal and deal with the villain spirit, which has now turned into a giant demonic Ghostbusters logo. Spoilers, they shoot it in its nuts. Or ghoulies, if you prefer a bit of British slang. They seal the portal by blowing up the Ghostbusters car as Slimer drives it in. So in case you've missed it, they've now killed Bill Murray, the Ghostbusters logo, and blown up the car. If the after-credits scene was them pissing on Harold Ramis's grave, it wouldn't surprise me. As it is, the after-credits scene teases a sequel, with Patty listening to a ghost recording and then asking, "Who's Zool?" But fear not, dear viewer, for this nightmare is now over, and there is more chance of a leper pissing through the eye of a needle than there is of a sequel to this garbage can filled to the brim with steaming hot piss. Or is there?
Well, that's not terrible.
No, it's not. It's not terrible at all.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this bit of fun. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, all that kind of thing. Ring the bell, answer the phone, whatever floats your boat. Happy Halloween, and I'll see you later.